So you probably heard Congress passing a $900 billion relief deal after negotiations. Finally got on track, and they signed something. They agreed to something. It was supposed to be targeted direct aid for restaurants. It was supposed to be in the deal, but it's not in the deal. At least 110,000 restaurants closed permanently since March, while 2.1 million restaurant workers lost their jobs. Our next guest owned 6 restaurants, 2 bars before his pandemic, and has since had to close 2 of his restaurants and 1 of his bars. He is here now as restaurateur himself, Robert St. John. Robert, what were you hoping was in the $900 billion deal, and what's in it that will help you?
Well, I'm talking to you from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and our senator, Senator Roger Wicker, took the lead on this thing back in May and introduced the Restaurants Act. Congressman Blumenauer in the House introduced the House version. It passed. The Senate version had 53 people on both sides of the aisle. When you got Chuck Schumer on one side and Lindsey Graham on the other side, we had Dick Durbin, John Cornyn, 53 senators signed on, but we didn't get it in this new legislation. So we're holding out a little hope that when Congress comes back, this next Congress in January, the Restaurants Act will be a part of that. Because what people don't understand, I think, Brian, is independent restaurants, there are 500,000 independent restaurants in America. We're the #2 industry right behind healthcare. You got 11 million people who work in independent restaurants, but there are also 5 million people in ancillary businesses like farmers, fishermen, and people like that are just, I mean, desperate right now. It's rough out here.
So, and I agree with you 100%. Robert, so this thing happens. It hits in the winter. They tell you to suck it up to the spring. And what did you do in order to reopen? Give us an idea of the investments you put in to be responsible bar/restaurant owner.
Yeah. So my first restaurant that I opened was in 1987. That's kind of our flagship restaurant. And in March, we served our last meal before the shutdown, not knowing it would be the last meal we ever served. The business model there just wasn't going to work going forward. So as you said, you know, we had 6 restaurants, 2 bars. We're sitting here with 4 restaurants and 1 bar, hanging on right now. But, you know, everybody is in different states. I'm talking to you from our kind of breakfast community cafe. And, you know, it closed 4 months, and other restaurants were shut down for a few weeks. I have friends in Colorado who did great during the summer when you had outdoor dining, but right now it's snowing there. So it's different all over the country. But I think restaurateurs, we aren't really used to asking for help, and we're a little ill-equipped to do that. We're in a brutal business. We have low margins. You know, we deal with a lot of controversy already, but we aren't used to asking for help. And, you know, 2008 came and went, and the financial crisis, you didn't hear a word from us. I live about an hour north of the Gulf of Mexico. There were 6 hurricanes that came through the area this year. And we just kind of, when that happens, we hitch up our britches and get back to work. But this is
unbelievable, Robert. What the numbers do not say that you guys are a super spreader. Most people are spreading this in their homes. What is your message to lawmakers who keep shutting you down and limiting your capacity?
Well, my message would be sign the Restaurants Act. When January comes around, sign the Independent Restaurant Coalition, which is a group I'm a part of that just formed in March. Took the lead on that and worked with Senator Wicker in the Senate. They need to pass that. I saw the study you're talking about in New York that was from September to November, and like 74% of the spread came from households and gathering events, and 1.4% came from restaurants and bars. And so, you know, we're used to dealing with the health department. We're used to health issues when it came time to put on masks and put on gloves and have sanitizer. We deal with that kind of thing all the time.
It's unbelievable. I just think that if some of these politicians worked in the restaurant business, they understand what you guys do on a regular basis, because you have the free market. If you're not safe, if it is not clean, if it is not a place, you will go out of business. All you want is the opportunity to be successful. And these politicians have robbed you of that because they say they want to look out for you. And to me, that is so insulting.
Yeah, Brian, 20% of the jobs already lost in this pandemic, of all jobs, came straight out of the food and beverage business. And it's estimated that 85% may close permanently. And we're talking about small business. I'm not talking about franchise restaurants or big chains or anything like that. I'm talking about mom and pop restaurants, independent businesses like the one I started. I was 26 years old when I started this thing and worked 90 hours a week for the first 4 years in a hot kitchen and loved it. And I love this business, and I'm going to stay in this business. You got people all over the country just like this that are just fighting to survive right now.
And even if you're great at it, it is so intense. It brings that family atmosphere because you got to turn the tables over. You got to seat the people. You got to clean up. And at the end of the night, you're exhausted, and you usually go out and get a drink together after. And that's why it's so hard for an owner like you to tell workers, I can't pay you anymore. They close me up. It's like family, more than almost any other business that I was able to work in. Robert St. John, can't thank you enough for joining us. And hopefully this Restaurant Act, we'll keep talking about it, and we'll get it passed in 2021.